Look, GTA San Andreas came out almost 18 years ago, and this fact alone honestly feels unsettling. 2004, computer clubs, cheat sheets, and that very line, Hisoyam. Those who played back then don't remember the graphics or the story. They remember the feeling that someone had opened an entire universe for you. You walk into a virtual gym, pump up CJ, go to the barbershop, then to the clothing store, then you enter the jetpack code and fly somewhere beyond the mountains. Your first girl, your first club, your first proper cars, your first attempts to live inside the game, as if it were your second parallel world. San Andreas felt insanely huge, alive, and free. And the main thing is, it really was like that by the standards of its time. But like any legend, this story has two sides. The bright one, our war memories. Grove Street, green clothes, wasted, endless pointless shootouts and jetpack flights. The dark one, scandals, lawsuits, hidden files in the game, cut content, Rockstar's mistakes that cost them millions and almost led to a catastrophe. Many people know San Andreas as that childhood game, but far fewer understand how important it was for the industry, and how dirty, scandalous, and risky the story of its development and release actually was. In this breakdown, we're not just going to remember how cool it was. We're going to dissect GTA San Andreas as a documentary case study. What it was really built from, what Rockstar hid, why they tried to ban it, and how one game managed to show what video games could even be. This isn't a nostalgic review. This is an analysis of a project that became both a peak and a problem for Rockstar at the same time. GTA San Andreas wasn't born out of nowhere. It was literally built on the bones of Vice City. And it's not just about the renderware engine, which by 2004 was already being pushed to its absolute limits. Inside the San Andreas files players found loading screens from Vice City, beach house models, the collectible statues Tommy picked up in VC, even mission intro cutscenes from the previous game. But this wasn't laziness. On the contrary, it showed how Rockstar could squeeze every last drop out of limited hardware. The developers needed far more time than they did for Vice City. If VC was made in under a year, San Andreas took almost 2, because the scale had exploded. The game was first announced with no details, just a statement that work had begun. Players and journalists immediately started guessing the setting. San Andreas or some mysterious Sin City. And those rumors weren't random. In late 2003, Game Informer wrote about GTA, Sin City, and people believed it. This was the same magazine that correctly predicted the title Vice City before Rockstar announced it. Later it turned out, Take-Two had indeed registered the trademarks GTA, San Andreas and GTA, Sin City back in 1999. How the journalists found out remains a mystery to this day. And what makes it even stranger, on the official Game Informer covers of 2003, GTA wasn't mentioned at all, fueling the intrigue around this leak. But in the end, Rockstar chose San Andreas. And for the first time, they created not a single city, but an entire state. Los Santos, San Fierro, Las Venturas, deserts, countryside, mountains, highways, and hills. The world was almost 3 times larger than Vice City. A massive leap in scale. The Hauser brothers again drew inspiration from movies. If Vice City was Scarface and Miami Vice, then San Andreas was directly tied to the 1993 film Menace to Society. Character archetypes, looks, scenes, dialogue, street atmosphere, everything echoed it. You watch the movie and feel like you're seeing an early Los Santos. Some Ballas characters even look identical to people in the film. There's a story, not proven but famous, that Rockstar North flew into a real American ghetto for references. Well-dressed white guys from Scotland supposedly ran into local small-time gang members, but the locals recognized them as the creators of Vice City, and instead of robbing them, actually helped them. Believe it or not, but it definitely sounds like something from that era. Rockstar understood. The new GTA had to blow minds. They weren't making just a sequel, they were building a revolution. And that's why San Andreas became the game that showed what renderware could really do when pushed to its final polygon. The story of San Andreas begins not with grandeur, but with pain. Carl C.J. Johnson returns to Los Santos after 5 years in Liberty City for his mother's funeral. Grove Street is broken, the Ballas dominate, corruption thrives in the police force, and the Johnson family is on the edge of collapse. And CJ is greeted not by relatives, but by Crash, a unit of corrupt cops led by Officer Tenpenny, one of the strongest antagonists in the entire series. They rob Carl, frame him for murder, and throw him in the middle of enemy territory with the words, "Work for us, or you're going to jail." This is the first punch of the story. The hero is trapped from the very start. Grove Street is no longer what it used to be. Sweet, the older brother, tries to hold the neighborhood together, but the odds are against him. Big Smoke and Ryder act strange, disappear, do shady business. The Ballas push chemicals, the streets are falling apart, and CJ is forced to get involved in dirty work while trying to understand what's happening. The first stage is a soft introduction into the world. Escaping from the Ballas. A trip to the barber shop. Buying green clothes. Repainting enemy graffiti. Learning how to shoot. Fighting local sets. But gradually the masks fall. With the help of Caesar, Kendall's boyfriend, CJ learns the truth. Big Smoke and Ryder had been cooperating with the Ballas and Crash for a long time. They were the ones behind the attack that killed Carl's mother. They were the ones pumping chemicals into the neighborhood, destroying Grove from the inside. The culmination of the first phase. Sweet goes to a meeting with the Ballas, not knowing it's a trap. CJ saves his brother, unleashes one of the most brutal shootouts in the early game, but the police surround everyone. Sweet is taken to a prison hospital, and CJ ends up in the hands of Tenpenny, who unexpectedly lets him go. But not out of kindness. The officer has plans. He dumps Carl in the countryside, forbidding him to return to Los Santos. This is how the first chapter ends. The hero is exiled. The neighborhood is destroyed. Sweet is in prison. And over Grove Street hangs the shadow of traitors who have become the new power of the city. CJ's exile to the countryside seems like a pause in the story, but in reality, it's a new boiling point. Crash dumps Carl in the middle of nowhere, but here he meets two people who radically change the course of the story. The first is Catalina, Caesar's insane cousin. Her mood flips from love to hatred every 30 seconds, and her missions blow your mind. Rob a gas station, steal a fuel truck, rob the robbers, chase them on quad bikes. Catalina is pure chaos, and the game deliberately makes this phase wild and unpredictable. But she's the one who introduces CJ to Claude, the silent racer who will later become the protagonist of GTA 3. And this is where the first bridge between games of the 3D universe is created. The next important character is Wu Zimu, the leader of the Chinese triad, wise, strategic, blind, yet running his business more precisely than those who can see. Racing him becomes a turning point. CJ gets his first serious connection in the criminal world outside Los Santos. Catalina leaves for Liberty City with Claude, leaving Carl a garage in San Fierro. And this is exactly where one of the densest criminal arcs of the game begins. San Fierro is the heart of the underground business. This is where the Loco Syndicate operates, the suppliers of chemicals who destroyed Grove Street. Big Smoke worked with them, which means CJ steps right into the center of a major operation. He gathers a team, the Truth, Jizzy B, T-Bone, the Tex, and starts unraveling the supply chain. But Loco isn't a regular gang. It's a network tied to shipments, labs, couriers, the Russian mafia, and their cooperation with Crash. CJ gains their trust, completes missions, and uncovers the structure of the syndicate, and gradually destroys it from the inside. Heavy checkmark eliminates Jizzy B. Heavy checkmark closes in on T-Bone. Heavy checkmark exposes the conspiracy. Heavy checkmark finds Ryder and kills him in a chase, one of the most controversial and tragic moments of the game. This death marks the end of the second phase of the story. The traitor is punished, the local branch of the syndicate is crushed, but the main figures, Big Smoke and Tenpenny, remain out of reach. However, CJ receives a signal. Mike Torino is alive, and he wants a meeting. When it seems like the story of the Loco Syndicate is over, something happens that no one expected. Mike Torino is alive. That same killed member of the syndicate suddenly gets in touch and offers a meeting. And right here the plot sharply changes its genre, from street crime to a political thriller. Torino turns out to be an agent under deep cover. He doesn't say who he is, FBI, CIA, military, but the scale of his missions clearly shows. He works on a level far above any gang. And now he needs CJ. The deal is simple. Carl completes dangerous missions for him, and Torino pulls Sweet out of prison and protects him from being eliminated. Then begins a series of missions that in scale don't lose to action movies of the 2000s. Heavy checkmark, destroying helicopters from the ground. Heavy checkmark, stealing an airplane right during takeoff. Heavy checkmark, planting explosives and jumping out with a parachute. Heavy checkmark, eliminating enemy convoys. Heavy checkmark, deep operations against unknown forces. But the climax is the mission everyone knows. Stealing the jetpack from the military base, Area 69. This is the moment when GTA completely turns into pure madness. But this is exactly why people love it. The player gets one of the most iconic devices in the series, and it opens access to yet another secret operation. The theft of a strange green substance connected to secret government experiments. While CJ works for Torino, he strengthens his position. He helps Wu Zimu, gets a share in the casino in Las Venturas, saves Mad Dog, and rebuilds his career. Gradually, Carl becomes not just a gangster from the neighborhood, but a man with influence, money, connections, and power. But for Sweet, all of this means nothing. When Torino keeps his promise and frees him from prison, the reunion ends with a scandal. Sweet accuses CJ of forgetting Grove Street. Los Santos is burning. Territories are under gang control. The streets are in chaos after Tenpenny is acquitted. And here the final phase begins, the return home. The brothers are together again. And now they have a goal. Restore Grove Street, destroy Big Smoke's empire, and put an end to the rule of the dirtiest cop in GTA history. This return is not about money. It's about duty, home, the memory of their mother, and the attempt to fix the past.